Fadi. Thank you everyone to having me in your class. It's always a pleasure to join your class, Dr. Fadi. You have a great students, and I always enjoying to share some of our work, some of our research and study with them. Uh, Everyone, good afternoon. So here today, I want to share a little bit, like usually the guest speaker working and sharing some work that they are doing. But today I want to share something with you that is a little bit different. Dr. Fatih Sale, I don't know how much he previously introduced me or say something, but I want to back to the age that I was a student like you. And many years ago, I studied statistics, both my undergrad and master, and later my PhD was decision analytics. After I did my undergrad, I started to work as a journalist. And being a journalist completely affected the way that I'm thinking, the way that I'm working, writing, analyzing data, a lot of things that the way that I'm doing that nowadays have been shaped even before I would
I'll give you the right one.
I would decided to be a data
Can I
analytics
hear? No. Can you imagine?
and a statistician. So working as a journalist, I had to analyze market data. And it was very challenging that you study a statistic. Of course, you should have some talent in writing reports in a critical way, but using the knowledge of data analytics into the news analysis or writing the report, it was a little bit challenging at the beginning for me. So I want to take you to that journey, a very short time that we have, took you to that journey that, simulate what happened to me and how, if you want to be a disruptor to any field, if you don't want to just follow the crowd, everything that is given to you, believe it immediately, or just the be reader of the report of the other people, would like to create something by yourself and see the result of everything differently from the way that majority of the people I see. I try to give a kind of example, and I really need your kind collaboration today, because if you are not going to collaborate with me and share your opinion, it's going to be very hard to really understand how is this mechanism and system, and how is this news analysis or reading the news into applying the data analytics could work. So the question maybe give you a little bit idea about what I'm going to talk about, that if your company goes greener, will your truck arrive later or sooner? So there are a lot of debate and a lot of discussion in the news, in the media, that talking about this relationship between the sustainability and supply chain performance. So some of these highlighted articles, I put them here. Hope is enough large to see from the bar. But at least you can see the title, if not the entire of the text. And they are the agencies that Reuters or the Harvard Review, Business Review publish this kind of things. Is a very critical questions for many practitioners and researchers to identify really there is a relationship between these two or not. And it's not a new concept. However, also is not a new concept, is an ongoing concept as well, is an ongoing discussion. And maybe it's going to be a dynamic situation. We don't know. We have to analyze it and see what is happening. So looking at these headlines and initial things that I share with you, whether the sustainability affecting supply chain performance, supply chain management. I like that you came with a kind of idea and think differently, whether this is there is a relationship between these two or not. Being more sustainable, it means that having a better supply chain performance, or no, there is a different, like the negative relationship or positive relationship between them. I'm sure that your knowledge in statistics or data analytics is enough to answer this question. So feel free, go ahead and share your opinion. Who are saying that there is a linear relation, I mean, not the linear, positive relationship between them. Maybe Dr. Fatih, you can help me to engage a student. If you're in the class and talking, so all the mics are off. Any idea? Or if you prefer to type it in the chat, will be fine as well.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes.
Someone wanted to talk. Isha. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Kwan?
Kwan.
Yes.
You may start some, initial idea.
I'm expecting at least you are in the positive side or the negative side. You have to identify which one you are. You think that there is a relationship in the positive way or there is a
Sustainability
relationship?
debate in the today's headline. So what do you want to see? We believe it helps.
Juan, you wanted to say something.
Can I say something?
Of course, I love to hear your opinion.
Yes, I do think there's a correlation between them. And I
Okay.
think sustainability is really strong for strategy because not only is it positive media-wise, but your operations have to last a long time if you want people to invest in you.
Awesome. So you believe that there is a positive relationship, right? I will
Absolutely.
take a note. Yes, I will take a note because later we will see something interesting, very interesting things that we have to see what we are thinking. But later when we do analysis and we use our analytics skills to see the data, the relationship between the data, you will see, wow, what you were thinking and now how the relationship might be partially correct or fully correct or completely incorrect. Who else is agree with Kwan? Everyone is are agree with him? Or it's better to say who is disagree with him? Okay, Tyler is agree. Robert. Okay, so sustainability bring the positive public image, of course. That's the factor that nowadays a lot of customers also caring about that. But beside that public image, I want to see that from the supply chain perspective, the performance, like fast delivery, meeting the customer demand, warehousing cost. I don't know how much you are familiar with all of those concepts in the supply chain management. How do you see that effect there? Whether we are going to have the much more, even like we can minimize the cost in the supply chain management, or no, it's going to increase the cost.
It will increase the cost.
So you believe that AXA increase what? Increase the cost or increase the performance? Increase the cost. So Michelle, you say that this is increasing the cost. So if it is increasing the cost, it means that we are not going to have a better supply chain performance. It depends on the changes. What changes, Jacob? Biofuel reuse, okay.
This is a big thing in aviation, but there's a lot of research to find how to make cheaper fuels and how to burn less CO2, and it can help reduce costs in your chain if you're successful.
How about the delivery time? Do you think it's going to be faster or slower?
It really depends on what technology you're implementing. There are some that could slow it down, there are some that could speed it up.
Okay, so it depends on the technology, like level of the technology development and technology maturity. Good idea. Okay. So imagine that you are supposed to write a report for whatever, for your company you're working there, or for like the job that I had. You need to analyze something and give it share your idea. So feel free here. Nobody will say that your idea is wrong or right. We just want to see that how you're thinking. Okay. Anyone else would like to share? So I will consider some of you say that there is a partial relationship, some factor might affecting, changing this relationship. Some of you will say that definitely is going to be better things. And some of you may say, like Michelle, the question is that, Ellie, whether sustainability improve supply chain performance. So let's we go, because we don't have that much time. Let's we go to the next step. After you identify, like whenever you are reading a news, like something that I share with you today, always come with this kind of critical thinking. And instead of accepting it immediately and we believe that the author is completely right, just think by yourself whether this claim is correct or not. Justify them based on the evidences that you have, the knowledge that you have, and just try to answer the question that whether these things are correct or not based on your understanding. And as a person that knows a little bit of like analytic skills, after that, we need to identify key important factor because we want to analyze those factors. So we cannot just analyze the text. Of course, text mining is some sort of analytics, but we need the data. We need factors firstly. We need to identify the variable firstly. And then after that, we go to the collecting the data, finding the good data and test our question and our hypothesis. So if I want to, let's say that some of you say that it is dependent, something may change by some factor, may be a positive relationship, maybe negative relationship. Give me few idea about the key important variable that we need to consider here. So I'm just starting, of course, time efficiency, okay. So time efficiency, I make it a little bit, Tyler, more like closer to what's the original. It is correct, it's not incorrect, but make it a little bit generalized. I would consider supply chain performance. And later I will show you that where you can get this kind of data. What else? It was a good idea. Good to start, Tyler. Thank you. What else, guys? Resource efficiency. So again, I make it a little bit more generalized because resource efficiency, what type of resources we are talking, I believe you are talking about the sustainable resources. And sustainable resources, sustainability is a type of technology. I think one of you mentioned about the technology level, how much, like how advanced we use the sustainable technology. So sustainability level or sustainability degree or sustainability efficiency is another factor. What else? All of the ideas are great. So I want to see any other opinion. How do you test that? You are testing across their time horizon, country, company. What do you think? What is a good idea? So if I want to get the supply chain performance versus sustainability level, I have to get across the company, across the continent, across the countries, across the time. So what is the third factor here? It could be anyone, but I would like to know your opinion. Which one do you prefer or you think is make more sense?
Can I add something?
Sure, of course.
Thank you. Hello everyone. Actually, I think country is really important and an important
Okay.
factor because of the reason, the policymakers play an integral role in this issue that we are considering sustainability or not. So, in my viewpoint, the policymakers and specifically country is really important and
Yeah.
an important variable as well.
Definitely your point. Yeah, the culture, Robert, I mean, I think it could be something that Ellie share, country or culture. Of course, across the country, a culture might be different from the type of industry to another industry, but less and more when we see the whole supply chain ecosystem, we will see that from the country or from the economy, that could be less and more similarity. Great idea. So let's keep these three factors. Okay, so we have the sustainability level, we have the supply chain performance, and we have the country level. So here, after we come with our research question, the idea that we have, we need to identify our hypothesis. So hypothesis, we already talked about that. We are going to, I mean, some of you are agree, some of you are disagree, but I'm sure that you learn in some of your statistical related course that how to build a correct hypothesis. Very quickly, I share about you that why, well, I mean, statistically making or analytically making a hypothesis, how it should be. From a statistical point of view, we always put the null hypothesis. I think I share it in the next slide. Yes, we always put the null hypothesis in the way that we would like to see that there is no effect from the null hypothesis. So when you are writing the statistical hypothesis into mathematical format, you usually see equality, at least equal smaller, equal larger into the null hypothesis. So from that conceptual framework and conceptual things that you build it and you come with the idea about what hypothesis you want to check. Basically here we want to check the sustainability level versus performance across the country level. So we would like to see whether there's an effect between sustainability and the supply chain performance or not. So when it comes to analytic part and you want to make it mathematic, shape it into the mathematic form, always we put the equality into the hypothesis, null hypothesis, because if you reject something, then you have a certain certainty that in the alternative things, there is no any reason to be incorrect. So usually that is the rule. When you are making a decision based on the result of the a statistical analysis or the data analytics in the machine learning or the data mining technique that you have the p-value, you never say that we accepting the null hypothesis. I believe that you all follow that rule. We always said that we reject or not reject the null hypothesis. And that's because we usually would like to put the incorrect things into the null hypothesis. If we reject it, it means that our alternative hypothesis, which is our discovery, which is our claim, has a higher chance to be correct. Of course, we have a little bit degree of the error, and that's a type 1 error. I'm not going to teach you those kind of things. It's not a topic of the workshop or the seminar that we have, but this is those basic things about how to develop your null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So having these three factors together, now you're going to do the analysis. And actually, I collect the data. So the data that I collected, you can scan this QR code and will have access to my Drive, Google Drive. You will have access to my Google Drive with all of the data that you have. So I collected 3 levels of the information. So this information about the timeliness, about the time factor that one of you mentioned, and I considered as logistic performance or supply chain performance, and the data and information have been published by the World Bank. And this data is publicly available. You can go to the link and download the data. Then about the environmental performance and sustainability degree of each country, the University of Yale has also a very strong research for many years, annually publishing, I think it's not annually, monthly, they publish their data and update their data. And there are some data for that part as well. So I got the data from here. And because we are going to see the country level, so I thought that what is the best factor about the country. So I got the data from the World Bank and the income of the country. So GDP and the income of the country and the classifying the country by their economic level might be interesting. So that is what Ellie also mentioned, will be kind of like the factors that we are interested about them, and to see that how is the relationship between mainly supply chain performance versus sustainability, and then how the economy or country level change these factors. The data are not similar. I mean, the record and the structure of the data is not similar. I put, if you download the data correctly, I also put the Python code in my Google Drive, so you can download all of those Python code and run the code by yourself. So at the end of the day, we should have such a data frame. And I did a little bit data cleaning and came with this data frame. So first of all, I had the same idea as some of you had. So let's see that how sustainability and supply chain performance or logistic are working. And that became my correlation analysis. So if you do this analysis and you see that my hypothesis, so sorry, this should be the H0 and H1, not H1 and H2, null hypothesis and alternative. So looking at this scatter plot and that relationship, and every dot is one country, what is your conclusion? What do you think about the question that I write? Do greener or more sustainable ecosystem perform worse or better in the logistic? And you see that the higher the degree of the LPI, this is the logistic timeliness, higher the better. And environmental performance, same, higher the better. So what is your conclusion here? Do you reject or not rejecting the null hypothesis?
Can you show us the R-square, all these?
Of course, I have them here. This is the result of R-square, adjusted R-square, correlation, and a little bit ordinary least square regression analysis. So you have the p-value of them, the confidence interval. This is the p-value. Sorry. So what do you think? If you say that, I'm
The
asking,
student, they are telling that the p-value is larger than alpha. It's not
this is the
significant.
p-value for the timeliness score, and this is the p-value for the constant value in the regression line.
Okay, those are less than alpha.
This is actually the p-value that we make a decision based on that.
Then we reject null hypothesis.
You reject the null hypothesis. It means that, so backing to our hypothesis again, I have to correct this one. So sustainability initiative linked to a better logistic performance, right? This is basically the conclusion. So we are rejecting the null hypothesis. Good. So it seems that there is a positive correlation, and we see the correlation is quite high. I mean, if we consider the threshold of the correlation 0.7 and say that higher than 0.7 is a good correlation, is a strong correlation. So we like it. It's a positive correlation and very dependent, positively dependent relationship between these two factors. But it still is not very low and is positive and is great. Now is the moment that I want to introduce you to two very interesting topics in analytics. So many times when we are talking about, remember, we have the economy level. Many times when we are talking about this kind of correlation, especially when it's come to the correlation or regression analysis, there are hidden factors. That this hidden factor will change everything. And this hidden factor, these are the residual analysis for the regression. I just did it to show you that things look like normal countries, that they are outlier here, which country they are outlier. We don't have that much time to go through the details here, but anyway, seems that our regression analysis and the correlation things was fine. So after we see the correlation, now there is a hidden factor, and this hidden factor, which is the country, I think, as Ellie also mentioned, your other classmate mentioned about culture, may change everything. So that positive correlation that we see may not be really positively everywhere and for every country. So if we have such a factor, yes. It was any question?
No, we are just brainstorming here.
So if there's such a factor, that this factor is going to change the story, is a hidden factor. If we don't consider this hidden factor, the result is completely different. We call them confounding variable. Confounding variable, what is this confounding variable? We saw the relationship between the x and y. X, imagine, was our cause, and y was our effect, was the independent and dependent variable. And then we have a u variable, that this u variable affecting both of these two factors. So if there is a factor that affect both of your independent and dependent variable, that's called confounding variable. And confounding variable has a power to completely change the whole story. And that's just going to give you some idea when you are seeing some results, some analysis, some insight from media, from any report. Think about, if there is a confounding variable, if there is any hidden variable that we didn't consider it. There are some way to identify that might be some confounding variable here. We could have we could look at the outlier. I just put the outlier, the list of the outlier country, sorry. The list of the outlier country here Of course, we have to go through their level of the income to see that they are from which income. I put their supply chain logistic here, and then EPI, the sustainability factor here, and you see that they are belong to which level, which economy. Some of them are like Malta is a very rich country. Luxembourg is a very rich country. But on the other hand, they don't have a very strong supply chain system or logistics system. So one thing that you may need to pay attention to them. Sometimes people go and wrongly remove the outlier from the data. And I always tell my students that when you want to remove the outlier, think wisely 2 times, more than 2 times. Maybe this outlier giving you something very important. And one thing that the outlier can tell you, maybe they are giving you an idea about the confounding variable.
Thank you for sharing this because this is really important. Thank
Of course. So we have the confounding variable here, and our confounding variable is the economic level. So confounding variable is not necessary that always make change everything. It could be affecting, and the effect that we saw as a positive relationship could, for some group, for like high economy, could be very high, and for another level of economy could be a strong, little bit still positive, but with a slower slope or the lower level of the relationship positiveness. But in case if we have the confounding variable, and confounding variable making a paradox in your result, that's the Simpson's paradox. Is a very interesting paradox and very important paradox that every time that people talking about, I saw it a lot into questions and the problem that people consider and into ethical perspective, or they want to design the equitable society. They consider effect of the Simpson paradox. Barely people consider the effect of the Simpson paradox into management. And now I'm going to show you. So if the confounding variable transfer, this hidden variable exist, transfer your analytics conclusion that completely the original conclusion is going to be defeated, will be changed, then you have the Simpson paradox through the confounding variable. And now you see the result here. So I found the confounding variable. This is basically I brought the confounding variable as an economy into the as a wealth, and we'll see that how being greener can be changed, the result of the relationship between the supply chains performance and the sustainability can be changed by the level of economy and the wealth of the country. So mathematically, how we are driving or writing this relationship between the confounding variable and the like saying that there is a Simpson paradox. This is the aggregated level. This is the original level. We have the correlation between the supply chain. This is the logistic performance and sustainability level. So the correlation was around 0.62, right? And when it's the income group comes, there's a subgroup level or the confounding variable that right now we are not expecting to see that correlation will be equal to the 0.62. And so this is with respect or condition to the income group, the result is going to be changed. And this is what basically the confounding variable is doing. So the high income country is these countries, guys, the one that still have a positive relationship, okay? I don't have the pointer or something here. So this positive one, this one that is stop in the top, is the group with the high income. With the middle income comes here. This is the second line. So you see that basically there is no relationship between environmental performance and the logistic timeliness. So the correlation is 0. And when it's come to the lower level income, lower middle income, and the low income country, actually the correlation is going to be negative.
Interesting.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? Now, my question is that, so we do the visualization, you see that how this confounding variable can make the Simpson paradox, and completely the result, the initial result that even like the Harvard Business Review published can be changed by a little bit thinking deeply into factors. It didn't start from very extraordinary things. It's everything that you share with me is just your basic idea. It was not prepared. You didn't study so deeply. It was just your very pure idea that you share with me. We had the data. Actually, I taught similarly like what you taught before, you taught right now. So before I taught the same way that you taught, I try to get the data and do the analysis. And now you see how the result is changing. So you are in the business school, and as a business school student, I love to know, in case if you like to back to this headline that we saw in the news and would like to write a new headline, what will be your headline for sharing in the media based on the result that we just saw?